Hey, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? Welcome to my channel. My life as a motherless son. My name is Rod, and I am here to share with you a story from my childhood that was traumatic to me as a child. But I make these videos in hopes of inspiring and showing people that you can come from these type of beginnings and still grow up and be a productive citizen and not end up being a statistic like they think you would end up, or like most people do end up. Because technically, I should have been a statistic considering my upbringing, but I'm not. So I'm gonna tell you a story. So I remember one time as a kid, I was probably about at this time. I don't really remember the exact age. I'm just basing it off the time when my mother died and going back. I would assume I was between 4 and 5. My mother died when I was 6, so I must have been about 4 or 5. I don't know for sure, but it could have been when I was 6. It could have been when I was 6 years old when this happened. But my mama died when I was 6, so I'm just gonna go with 4 or 5. I'm really 100% not sure, but I would tell you this: I remember just as good. Me and my friends were outside playing, and I remember while we were out there playing, my dad pulled up because my dad, he didn't live with us, right? He didn't live in the house with us, or if he did live there, I don't remember him ever being there because I never called my dad I never called my dad because he was never there. So what I used to call him was by his first name. I'm not gonna say his first name right now, but I used to call him by his first name, and so I never saw him. So I remember one day we was outside playing, and while we was outside playing, he pulled up. But when he pulled up, he had another woman in the passenger side. And he pulled up in front of our house, pulled up, on the street, pulled up to this, right in front of our house. And he had another woman in the passenger side. So me and my friends, we was hiding up under the steps because, it had already started getting kind of tense because we knew like, wow, he pulled up with another woman. He's still married to my mom at the time. So we get up under the porch, and my mom come down the steps. She holding my sister in her arms, and she go up to the car, and they having some words. I don't remember what the words were. I don't even remember I even heard the words. I just remember watching this, and they were they were going at it back and forth. My mom was punching, fighting him through the window. Now she didn't really go after the other lady, but she was going after him in the passenger side. She was going at him. And I'm like sitting there watching this, man. And I'm like, oh man, this is crazy, because my parents, for those of you who have two parents that live in the same household, I'm not saying you had a good situation, but just watching these things take place is very traumatic as a young kid because, when you're watching your parents at that age, you don't really understand things. You just know that you love both of your parents and you want to see them together. You want to see them get along. But in my case, I can't say I wanted to see them together because they wasn't together. But I do know that I didn't want to see them fighting either. But they were fighting right outside in the public, man, in the open, man, it's hard to say who was to blame for it, you know what I mean? But you can't really blame either side because they both were doing whatever they did for whatever reason they felt like doing it. But for a kid, for me, it was just the craziest thing I had ever seen at that time. But they fought. My dad decided to pull off, was gone again. You know what I'm saying? It was just hard watching my dad go like that because I really wanted my dad to be in my life at that time, but he wasn't in my life at the time. And I felt like he betrayed me and my sister, left us hanging. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. As I tell you more stories, I'll tell you more about my dad and more about my mom, the little bit that I can tell you about her because she died when I was so young. But in life, you have to take the good with the bad. You cannot let it take you down because if you let it get the best of you, you won't recover from it, man. You gotta just say you don't really care about it. Sometimes you have to block things just to get through things, to get to the next level. And then once you start making progress and get to the next level, then you can go back and seek the help you need and the treatment or the counseling you need to better yourself. Because if you don't and you allow it to take you under, you won't come back from it, man. It's hard to come back from it. And I think sometimes adults do not realize what they're doing to their child. They don't realize the pain that they're causing their child because of their selfishness. I don't think they really realize that. Now, as a parent myself, these are things I take into consideration. That may make me do some things that I should not do for my kids, but you know, we are nothing but a big ball of our life experiences. So this is just what happens, man. This is just how it is. This is what happens. This is how it goes. You start treating your children a certain way because you don't want them to go through what you went through. And it just gets crazier and crazier as the generations go on. But you got to recognize that you need help. And you got to seek that help. Especially today with all the avenues and all the things and the way it's promoted today, in a way like let you know that, hey, we all can go get help. But back then it wasn't really talked about, at least not in my community, or at least not in my household. I never knew nothing about that at that age. But yeah, it was a bad thing. And it only kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I'm going to tell you those stories as well. Man, I can tell you many stories about this. So look, stay tuned. This is just part one. And I got many more stories. My life as a motherless son, the trauma that I faced.